I'm here at Kennedy Center with actress Estelle Parsons, who is starring as Violet Weston in August Osage County. Thank you for being here. Really appreciate it. And it's a great honor to be with Estelle Parsons. How are you?
Oh, I'm good. I'm very happy to be here with you.
So tell us what August Osage County is about from the point of view of Violet Weston, who you play in the show.
Oh, gosh. That's an impossible question because I'm in it. So how do I know what it's about? From her point of view, all she knows is she's in it. Where's the next pill? And is this death in the family going to interrupt her pill taking? I would suppose. I wouldn't begin to know what she's thinking about. But I think it's wonderful. The only reason I'm on this tour is that I think it's a wonderful theatrical entertainment. An awful lot of people come. It's their very first show, young people, and they're so excited and they love theater because this has been their first one. So, being in the theater all my life, to be in a show like that that's exciting people about coming and seeing us is 100% good, all the way perfect. So that's why I'm here.
So how do you personally relate to Violet?
I don't know. That's a mystery because Laurie Metcalf and Rondi Reed, who was in the original, said, "Oh, you got to play Violet. You got to play Violet." I said, "You kidding? I've got to play Violet. I don't even take aspirin. Not to mention that I'm totally fit and have been all my life."
You look terrific, I must say.
So what am I doing playing Violet? But it seems to have worked out. So it's all unconscious or subconscious, whatever you call that. I don't identify with her at all. I do know she's very smart, and I'm very smart, and I think that's probably... she's a thinker. I don't know how to put it exactly, but I think that it's important that you have that kind of ability that she had to keep up with this poet husband of hers. They were certainly equals, so that puts her in a, she's a nasty person, bigoted and racist and probably anti-intellectual, but never mind, she has those smarts and they just went wrong. So I think that's a very important element. I think somebody who was not intellectually developed would, I don't think they'd do too well with the part.
So how many lines do you have in the show? Have you ever counted?
No, not all that many.
Okay.
I don't think so. It was very easy to learn. There are not very many long speeches, and the ones that are so way out there that, just had to learn them and think, how am I going to say this? Okay, open your mouth and let it out.
So why did you really want to play this role and smoke all those cigarettes, which I assume you don't do, right?
No, I don't smoke, no. They're herb cigarettes.
So why did you want to do this when you could go, relax and go on vacation?
No, I wasn't relaxing. I was doing a Brecht adaptation of Measure for Measure with music by Hans Eisler.
And where was that?
Is what I was working on with David Gordon, who's an experimental downtown director. And we were about to go on tour with that. But I don't know. I like to be in very, very popular things. I've done a lot of things that have been very unpopular.
Like? Name a couple.
The Reason We Eat, a play nobody ever heard of. And then Martin Phil, which someone came down in Lincoln Center in the intermission and said, this theater will be closed because of this piece of SHIT. So... I've done a lot of stuff like that, but I haven't been on Broadway in maybe 4 or 5 years, and I just loved that the theater, the play was so dynamic and that audiences were rushing to see it. I thought, boy, I want to get my hand in with those audiences that are rushing to the theater because we're always worried about how people aren't rushing to the theater.
So what experiences in your life helped you prepare for those scenes in this show that are... where you're pretty bitter and confrontational? Anything you thought about when you prepared for the role?
I couldn't do that. I couldn't do that. The play has brought up in me an awful lot of stuff from my dark side, which I had never paid much attention to because I was taught to be a good little girl, and that means you just kind of squash all the other stuff. But I think what's been very helpful and maybe made it all possible is being an analysis, and really, it's just weird because when I'm in the show, I have 2 times where I'm on stage in the dark, kind of. There are people in different rooms in the houses. And the strangest things come to my mind that I would never think of ever in my life, probably. So I feel the play is kind of a gift in helping me unlock secrets from myself.
So you're feeling better now?
Yeah.
Being in this play.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, good.
It's been wonderful to get in touch with those parts of myself, and all the parts are like that in the play, and I think a lot of people try to close the doors to those parts, and I'm fortunately in a time in my life and in analysis when I can open those doors and embrace some of the things that I may have pushed way down.
Let's talk about being on the road, because it's not easy being on the road.
It's great.
Are you loving it?
Yeah, I'm loving it. I'm loving every minute of it, every new hotel, every new crazy adventure. It's great.
And you're rediscovering all these fans you never knew you had probably out there.
Oh, they're terrific. They're really terrific. The audiences are wonderful. But that's the play,
So have you had a chance to reevaluate your performance or change it or tweak it on the road?
Oh, yeah. I went in, basically just learning the lines and the blocking. I didn't even know anybody died in the play for about a month. All I knew was I knew my lines, and let me go out there and I'll say my lines. So I think it's changed a lot. Not changed, but just for me gotten deeper, and more meaningful in terms of nuance and details. Mm-hmm. In the behavior in the character. Yeah, I think it's changed.
Are you doing different
lot.
things physically with the role now?
I haven't really changed anything.
Yeah, it
but
looks very
physically,
similar. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Physically, I don't know. I'm certainly more relaxed. I mean, I was just in post-traumatic stress.
So talk about that first night I was there. What was that like, walking on it? What do you remember that night?
What was hard was that I didn't know anything about the play, and everybody else was like from the original company.
But they were pretty welcoming, right? They were nice people.
Yeah, but I mean, they had their performances
already set.
So usually you rehearse with people and you play with people, so you have
that chemistry.
Yeah, you have an experience together, and these were people I never even knew. Never mind, never had an experience with.
Right.
So I think that it didn't seem like a hostile environment at all. But it felt like a totally foreign one, so it was very hard to get going with the piece.
But now you have a new cast here.
Yeah, we all rehearsed together before the tour, and
so that
took
made it
great
easier.
care to get a really good group, because I wanted to go out with a really good group, and Steppenwolf wanted to have a really wonderful group to represent them around the
fantastic.
country. Oh,
fantastic
I think they're great.
Cast,
Yeah. I love them.
So have you worked with any of those cast members before?
Angelica Torn, I had done a David Hare play with, yeah. Okay. And a couple of the others were, when the original company went to London, Amy Warren came into the Broadway production. She plays Karen in the tour. And Jeff Still played Bill when Frank Wood went to Africa, I think, to work with kids for a week or two or something,
So what's the most difficult scene in the show for you?
Well, the one that's very difficult is really the classic scene at the dinner table, saying, I am a drug addict, I am addicted to drugs, because it's so far out of any realm of reality that anyone would. It's just always just go for broke time in that dinner table scene, and it's... Consequently, you want to be very true to it, so all you can do is just open yourself up to it, and however it comes out that way. Wow. So it can always be honest. Way out walking the plank, that scene.
I know.
Yeah.
So what scene that you're not in is your favorite to watch? Oh, boy.
Well, I love the original scene.
Yeah.
Not original scene. The first scene, the scene with Beverly.
Oh, okay.
The husband. I love that. I've been trying to learn that whole thing about T.S. Eliot and Barryman,
Right.
and I love that. I love that scene. That's my favorite.
Talk about the set. Is it similar to the set in New York? It looks
It's
pretty similar.
exactly the same.
Are you having any problems
It
maneuvering
had
it
to
in
be-
the Eisenhower?
It had to be changed. Something about the roof had to be changed for the tour, so they built a new set.
Yeah.
But it's I mean, for all purposes, for us, it's exactly the way it was in New York.
Right.
They can take it up and down in 5.5 hours,
Right.
and it travels in 3 semis. And we play a week places.
Mm-hmm.
We had to take a few days off driving it from Seattle to Toronto.
Mm-hmm.
But basically, we have one split week in East Lansing and Detroit, and I don't know, that's going to be a killer. Take it to East Lansing, put it up, do 2 performances,
Right.
take it down, put it up in Detroit.
Right.
Those guys are great, they're really great. And they've got it down to 5.5 or maybe even to 4.5 by now.
So how's your Kennedy Center experience been?
Oh, it's terrific. It's a wonderful theater to play in. We're playing in some very big musical houses and opera houses and other places that are very difficult to play in. And auditoriums, multi-purpose auditoriums, which are pretty hard on a play. But
how are audiences reacting? Pretty well.
oh, the audiences are always reacting magnificently. It strikes people on a kind of deeper than superficial level, so they're always wonderful. I don't really call it a play. I call it a phenomenon because I've never seen anything like it.
I've never seen a play that's 3 hours and 45 minutes that captures the attention of the audience for all 3 hours and 45
3 hours and a half.
Oh,
And it's
with the
even
intermission,
getting
without
shorter.
the intermission? Is
With
it getting
everything,
short?
it's 3.5.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, okay,
Yeah.
sorry.
Yeah.
So let's talk about why you think this play is so popular.
Well, I just think it's like, I think he's the first kind of really terrific playwright from the television era. And I think that, if you notice, it's episodic in the way that soap operas and also television sitcoms are episodic. There's no beginning, there's no end. It could go on forever, just like you hope a sitcom will if you're on it.
Okay.
Could go on for years and years. And it's written in that style. That's not to say that it's TV. It's very definitely theater.
Right.
It's very difficult to put together. It requires 3 weeks rehearsal. I mean, you work on TV, you learn the lines, and you can do them in 2 days. So it's definitely theater, but it has that feel of immediate engagement.
It grabs the audience right away.
And these episodes going on. So I find it very interesting. And other theater, most theater is literary in a sense.
Right.
And this is not, which I think is probably another difference between TV and theater.
Right.
There's nothing, there are tragedies in theater. Well, a tragedy is not a real thing because everything isn't always tragic. It's a form. I don't know whether literary is the word, but it's a form.
Right.
But this play is like life.
It is. Everybody can relate to everybody there in some way.
Yeah.
So why do you think you have this? You continue to be hired in this long, distinguished career. What is it about Estelle Parsons that people love to
well,
hire?
I think very often because I'm kind of average looking, people would say, oh, I hired you because you look like my sister-in-law or something, when I was little. But I'm talking about commercials and TV stuff like that, because in the theater, of course, you have to have some kind of talent and develop skills and stuff. But I think I can play a very wide range of stuff, and I think I was born with a very, very good gift, and I think I've developed it very well, certainly the way I want to develop it. There are so many styles you can use, but I'm very happy with what I've developed through my work with Arthur Penn and with Lee Strasberg. So
in 1956, you were in The Happy Hunting. Was
Yeah.
that your debut?
that
Donna?
was my Broadway debut.
with the
Happy
great
Hunting with
Merman.
Ethel
What was she
Merman.
like to work with?
I loved her so much. She was great. She was wonderful. And I saw her years later. We did a benefit at some Upper East Side apartment, and she was standing by the fireplace when I came in, and she said, "Oh, Estelle, I was in a show with you." And I said, "Ethel, are you crazy? I was on a pink contract in that show. It was my first show. I was in a show with you. You weren't in a show with me.
I'm sure she loved that.
She was so sweet. She was a lovely woman.
You know what I saw you in? I saw you as Maude in Harold and Maude at Paper Mill.
Oh, Tom Jones musical.
Yeah, who wrote the Fantasticks, which they have some new production here at Arena Stage.
Oh, they do?
Yes,
really?
they do. And Joseph Falcon is one of my favorite new composers.
Oh, is he?
He is.
Ah,
so what's happening with that show? Do you
I
know?
don't know. I don't think anything. I think
It's too bad. It had a good score, I thought.
Well, Tom is funny, you know, and they tried out some new stuff. They went to California and tried out some more new stuff, but I don't know if Tom has kind of given it up.
So if they call you up to do it again, will you do it?
Oh, yeah, sure.
I thought you were great in it. I loved it.
Sure. Yeah, I loved it too. It was terrific.
So you had 4 Tony nominations.
Yeah, I don't know, 4 or 5, 4.
Yeah, you were in 7 Descents of Myrtle.
Yeah.
Miss Reardon Drinks a Little, which I really loved.
Yeah.
Miss Margarita's Way and Morning
Morning
at
at
7.
7.
Those were your 4 Tony nominations. We got to get you a Tony, you know.
Ah!
We got to get you back up there. So what was your favorite role of all these 4?
I was a Tony nominator, you know, so once you're on the other side of the fence, you kind of don't care whether you win anymore.
Is that true?
Yes.
That's funny.
Because, you know, you have to, sometimes there's nothing that you like.
Yeah.
But they give you these rules and they say you have to put down 4 things.
Yeah.
So you're stuck with putting down 4 things, none of which you thought were really what they should be. Yeah. So, you know, the whole thing becomes just crazy when you're on the other side.
So I was going to ask you, since you won that Oscar way back for Bonnie and Clyde, you played Blanche Barrow. Was there anything about Blanche that's similar to Violet?
Oh, no.
Totally different people, huh?
Well, I try to create kind of a full, phony human being, so I never see particular parallels between one thing and another. And I never take a part that I feel I've already played. In other words, after Bonnie and Clyde, of course, I had tons of parts like I'd played in Bonnie and Clyde. Right. But if it looks like a character that seems to me, oh, I've played that, I don't...
So you don't like to do sequels, I assume?
No, I'm just not...
I'm tired of them.
I'm not interested in really just acting. I'm interested in a challenge of new material, so... Okay.
Well, let's talk about the Today Show, since you were a pioneer in the news business. Has things really changed today?
Totally different. It's not like the same world at all.
Do you think women are still respected on the same level now?
No, of course they're not. Are you kidding? No, women are women and men are men. I mean, I think it's necessary to keep a perspective about what that's all about. Of course, women can achieve anything they want to achieve, but they still are women and men are men. It's still a man's world in terms of leadership. I mean, this isn't a matriarchy world. This is a patriarchal world, right? Not to mention Washington and white old men, which seems to me what all the pictures are in the paper of a lot of white old men deciding our futures. I'm not too happy about it. I don't care if they're white old men. I'm not too happy about the condition of the world.
Okay, well, we won't get into that on this one. Maybe later we'll do that. Well, let's talk about playing Beverly and Roseanne Barr's show. You did it for 10 years.
Yeah, but I just went out like once a month. I wasn't there all the time. I never moved out there. And she was very great. She would just say, can I come a certain time? I'd say yes, or I'd say no. And then, so it averaged out maybe close to once a month, and it was only 4 days. So
well, you've also been a director, which a lot of people don't know.
Yeah, I've done a little bit.
So what's the favorite production that you've directed?
Oh.
Because you've directed a lot of Shakespeare, right?
Yeah, I had a Shakespeare company for Joe Papp. I think the original production that I did of Antony and Cleopatra was my favorite. It was...
Anybody in there that became great stars? Do you remember?
No. I had, it was multicultural and multilingual, and Paco Prado, who was a big Puerto Rican star, played Antony, and it was just at the beginning of the AIDS crisis, and most of the, several of the men in it who were really extraordinary all died of AIDS shortly thereafter, so it was just at that time. There's one who has a career here, Carlos Carrasco, in Hollywood,
Right.
who was in that production. He played Caesar. And then my Shakespeare company for Joe Papp, Jeffrey Owens, was on The Cosby Show. And Rocky Carroll has a very good movie career. We've all been
You still keep in
having
contact
reunions.
with them?
Yeah,
good.
they came to see
Great.
me in LA. They're coming here next week
All right. That's
to
great.
see me.
2 more questions. You were the artistic director for Actor Studio. So what advice would you give students who are considering theater, acting, and directing as a career?
Well, I think it's really important to be working in the theater. Studying is, of course, important. But your goal is to be able to function in front of an audience. And I think the only way to really learn who you are as a talent and what you have to offer is to be working in front of an audience, because anyone with talent is a completely different person in front of 500 people or even 100 or 2, is completely different from the person you are, like in a room with one other person like you.
Right.
I bear no resemblance to the people that I play. And the reason I know that is a very long time ago, these people wanted to meet me. They came from Hollywood. They wanted to do a TV show about me. And so I was to go and meet them, and I said, well, haven't they got anything to show me? Sure, I can go and meet them, but,
Right.
in real life, I'm from New England. I don't talk very much. I don't look like much. This
Oh, you look terrific.
this isn't going to work,
Yeah.
So I went to see them, and they were, horrified
Really?
at the person I really was. They had some idea, probably they'd seen me in something, you see. And they had some idea of what I must be like from what I did. And that's not the only occasion where people have had an idea of what I must be like because of the work I did.
Right.
And I'm a very kind of ornery and ordinary person in real life, so.
So the last question. So what do you want audiences to take with them when they leave the Eisenhower Theater after seeing August Osage County?
Well, hopefully they will have had a really full theater experience, meaning they will have been enriched, they will have been educated, enriched, and entertained. That's what theater is really all about, enriching your inner life and educating your inner life in a way that it can't be educated any other way except through theater. And then to be really heartily entertained, and it's not often that you find a play where you feel you can really do all that.
August Osage County plays through December 20th at the Kennedy Center's Eisenhower Theater in Washington, D.C.